What is going on? What is going on, everybody? Welcome. How is everybody doing today? I hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday, wherever you may be. I wanted to bring you guys some information, some knowledge. A lot of people have reached out to me on YouTube, also on Telegram, and they've asked, can you please provide some like one-on-one classes? And the thing is, I've never been a person that wants to like charge people. My biggest thing has always been the fact that if you are a grinder, if you're a hustler and you're someone that wants to grind it out every single time, then I could teach you how to become rich, right? I could teach you how to make it. The thing is, I don't want to charge because my always main objective when it came to ever getting into the space was making more millionaires than just having like one millionaire. If you understand what I'm saying. So that has been always my main concept. And that's why, I decided to do a couple spaces and help you guys not only navigate crypto, navigate memecoins, but how to be able to position yourself to where you could be that person, right? So if you guys have any questions, we're gonna have a space for today. We're gonna be talking about coins, how I see coins, how I view them. But I also want to give you guys nice strategies that you could guys implement so you guys could get that advantage and that extra edge when it comes to trading coins. So if you guys have any questions, just request to speak. I'll bring you guys up and answer your questions as we go. So I have a couple tickers here on the actual title. The reason I have these tickers is because if you were to able to vision these tickers, these are like the most predominant tickers I currently see right now. That if you were able to see these tickers when they were below a million, you would be pretty much set, right? The question is, how are you able to position yourself for that? And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to give you guys a couple strategies that I also implement whenever I'm looking for a good ticker. Because one thing I like to mention, and especially right now with the advantage we have with Sol, actually, kind of, I wouldn't say completely pumping, because usually I like to see Sol like around 150. That's when people kind of get a little bit of FOMO in themselves, and they're like, okay, man, if Sol keeps going up, I'm gonna get in there and drop a little bit of Sol in there. Usually around that 150 range is when people get really motivated, right, and start pumping. But from looking at some of the charts, some of the coins that have launched like yesterday, the launch today, it looks like the sentiment's actually really good. And that's kind of like where you want to be, right? You want to be when that sentiment's really good. The reason you want to be when that sentiment is really good is because you want to be able to capitalize on that. And in order for you to be able to capitalize on that, you want to make sure that you are positioning yourself accordingly. And it's extremely important. I could use a couple of tickers, kind of flew. And if you were able to actually see these, you would have been able to pick up on them as well. And once again, if you guys have any questions, just request. We'll bring you up, and then we'll definitely answer these questions for you guys. Just remember, it doesn't matter with what amount of Sol you have, because anybody in this space will tell you this, will pretty much tell you the same thing, right? You can literally go from 1 Sol to 100. I hate using the word easy, but that's kind of like going to be like the easy part. The hard part is turning that 100 Sol to 1,000 Sol, right? That's the hard part, right? That's the hard part. Like right now, we're talking about the easy part. Usually people, when they start, they'll usually start with, 0.5, 1 Sol, 5 Sol. It depends, on how much money you have, 10 Sol. And a lot of people, I feel like when they come into the space, they have this amount of Sol, and two things either happen, right? The first thing that could happen is they go and they put in the Sol, and they completely get wiped out, right? Like the Sol's completely gone, like, and then they quit, and they're like, "No, man, this is a scam. This is bad." You can see that kind of like related to when you watch TV shows or you watch anything that kind of surrounds around crypto. A lot of people kind of give it a bad vibe or a bad reputation because a lot of people get into it for the first time and they pretty much put their Sol in there, and then it's completely gone. It's completely gone. And I feel like, what, you guys, there is a better way to do this responsibly, more intelligently, and where you could actually become a winner by being able to identify stuff. One of the ways I like to explain this is like, a lot of people call this a casino, right? A lot of people say this is a casino. It's a gamble, and yes, in retrospect, it is a gamble, and it is a casino. The only difference, and I like to make sure I state this correctly, is the only difference between what we're doing and what a casino does is like when you walk into a casino, there's like about what I'm gonna say like over 10,000 machines, right? Like, so you kind of randomly have to pick a machine. Like you go in there and you pick a machine and you're like, this is the one. The difference that we have here is like, let me give you guys a perfect example. Let's say you walk into a casino and all of a sudden your eyes, right? Your eyes highlight specific machines, right? Like say like a machine that you're looking at while you're living at the casino gets highlighted in green and starts blinking green. And in your mind, that's an indication, right? Like that's an indication that that machine could be a winner, right? And then you look at your right side, you see another one, and you're like, that could be a winner. So how does that better the odds, right? Like, how does that better the odds when you're doing this? It bears it by a lot because now you're able to position yourself in a way where like you walked into this casino, but you walked in with an advantage of being able to see which one has a higher possibility of actually moving. Okay. And that's why it's extremely important that you learn how to do this. I think a lot of people in this space rely very heavily, like on KOLs, like on stuff being posted on Twitter, stuff being posted on TGs. And yes, this is good. I'm not shining against that. This is all good. But what I want to do is I want to teach you guys to position yourselves without relying on that. Okay. I want you guys to be able to look at something, see it, and be like, I have conviction on that. Because that's kind of what separates, the fish from the shark, right? One thing I was taught when I was young is like, there are these fish, right? When the shark is swimming, right? You have these little fish around them. And basically what these little fish do as they're swimming around the shark is like every time the shark poops, right? These little fish come and they eat the poop from the shark, right? And that is how they survive. You don't want to be those fish. You want to be the shark. And that's what I want to teach everybody. I want to teach everybody how to be a shark because I believe, right? The more sharks we have on this space, the better it's going to be for the space and the better it's going to be for our community. A lot of people just like to have the little fish eating off of them, right? I actually want to create sharks. And I think that's kind of like what separates me from a lot of other people. I see stuff before it actually happens. Everybody calls me the alpha before the alpha because I'm able to see stuff before it actually even becomes a thing, before like a KOL jumps in it. And I'm going to give you guys a perfect example. We're going to take a look at a little bit of the like dextrain and go over that. But there are a lot of concepts that I teach that you need to learn as you progress through, navigate this world, right? So I teach the FOMO. I have this all over like my YouTube. So if you haven't seen my YouTube, I highly recommend you guys check it out. But there's FOMO, and that stands for a specific acronym. I have the wall strategy. I have the NLA strategy. I have the 468 strategy. I have the 1 mil strategy. So I have these strategies in place that are going to help you guys better understand and how to position yourself to turn that one soul into 100. So the biggest question is, how do you do that, right? So I want to make sure that if you guys have any questions, while we're doing this today, not only do you invite your friends that need to learn how to do this, but I also want to, get any question or feedback that you guys possibly have that you felt that you did wrong or that you could do better, because that's kind of like the best way we could kind of navigate the space because, showing you how to do something, it's one thing, but showing you how to actually pinpoint something, it's a whole different story. And I want to teach that as much as I possibly can whenever we're in this space. So let me give you guys a quick little example. So if you guys notice, currently right now there is a coin that's moving pretty decently called Wawa, right? I'm pretty sure if you guys saw this, I think this one came out yesterday, I believe. I bought into this one pretty early. I didn't call it, but I did buy into it. It came out like 2 days ago. And I literally saw that and I said, that is at least a 2 million coin. And you're probably wondering how, like, right? How do you know? Right. And that is the hardest things. That's like one of the hardest things to say. And the reason is because if you are in the trenches, and I love that word trenches, because I personally believe as long as you have a solid community around you, you are able to push any coin. I personally feel like if you give me a coin, I could hit it. I can make it hit a mil. There are some coins that I'm currently involved in that I bought a little bit of supply into it that I feel like if I were to be given a chance, I could literally get the coin to 10 mil. Okay. So it's about a narrative and it's about being able to get a really good community around it. But for example, this Wawa coin, the reason why I knew that coin was going to do well, and this is where you guys need to learn to start learning this. If you look at that Wawa coin and you look at the PFP, you will instantly be able to see a comparison, right? Like you will instantly, the first thing that pops in your mind, what is it? If you guys were able to reply, I know what it would be. It would be PopCat, right? You would instantly be like PopCat, boom. That's literally PopCat, right? It's like a copy of PopCat, and that is how I knew that coin was going to do well. It's like I knew it was going to do well. It hit 4 mil, but that's just kind of like a little bit of example where you guys can kind of start seeing things that you might not be able to notice whenever you're navigating the space, or you're trying to find things, see what to buy or what not to buy, and you navigate the space, is because me personally, like I saw that in Pump Fund and I was like, that's a runner, like without even hopping on the Telegram, hopping on the X account and stuff like that. Even though that's your due diligence, that you should definitely be doing that, especially if you're investing in a lot of Pump Fund coins and you're investing in a lot of coins that are going to be very, like you're like, I wonder if this is going to run. I wonder if that's not going to run. You should definitely, check that out. One thing I'd like to always pinpoint is like currently right now, the state of, mem coins and the state of the way things are going. A lot of coins are relying on KOLs, right? A lot of coins are pretty reliant on KOLs. And unfortunately, like there are not that many KOLs that could actually move a chart. Okay. Like when I say move a chart is like, let's say a KOL comes along and he sends a tweet and like the chart goes from like 100K to like 2 mil, right? There are some out there that have that, have that potential, but very little, like very little. It's not like maybe I could count them like within my hand, right? But a lot of people feel like the KOL, culture is, they're very reliant on that. And unfortunately, like when you are a person investing and you're constantly on Twitter, you're constantly on TG. And I always say, you should definitely be on TG. You should definitely be on, on Twitter, but you shouldn't be reliant on someone actually promoting a coin. The reason is because when you're relying on someone promoting a coin, is by the time you end up buying, like that person already bought further down. And it's kind of funny because you're probably wondering, well, don't you make calls too, right? Like almost every single time I make a call, I literally tell you what I'm going to buy. Like, unless for some apparent reason, like, someone reached out to me, like they're like, do you want 1%? Can you help us push this coin or something? I will let you know. But the majority of the time, like if you go to my TG, I'll tell you, dude, I bought at 150. This is where I bought. Or I bought at 50. The reason I do that is because I feel like we need to do it together, right? And I want to teach people that I am in the same boat as you are, right? Whether you have 1 soul, whether you have 2 soul, whether you have 5 soul, whatever amount of soul you have, and whatever you want to put into it, that you want to make sure that you position yourself accordingly. And one of the things I feel like a lot of people lack is the ability of discipline and the ability of being able to kind of like segue losing it all and still being profitable. What I mean by this is I'm gonna tell you guys, give you guys a perfect example. So when I got started in the space, I knew zero about the space. Okay. I literally got into the space with zero knowledge. The only thing I knew that existed was Bitcoin. Okay. That was my knowledge, Bitcoin. I got in here and then I was like, what the heck is Solana? Okay. That's how bad I was. Okay. That's how bad I was. Like, what the heck is Solana? I didn't know anything. Okay. But thankfully, I come from a background where, I'm a professional gamer, right? That's kind of my background. And when I feel like gaming and a lot of things that you do in life, if you are a gamer, you're going to kind of relate to this. If you're not, then, that's perfectly fine. But I'm going to tell you this. If the most richest man in the world is a gamer, that should tell you something, right? That's Elon, right? Elon's a big Diablo player. And the reason why gaming is so important is because gaming lets you see stuff that you can't see. You can't develop gaming skills without you playing. And I'm not saying go play or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, if you are a gamer, you'll probably relate to this. One of the great things about that is being able to kind of make critical decisions really fast without your brain processing it too much, right? And in memes, it's really important because this is what tends to happen. if you get into a coin, right? Like let's say let's use Modang for example. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what Modang did, right? The people that made a lot of money in Modang are the people who got into that coin under a mil, right? So if you got into that coin under a mil, you are pretty happy right now, right? If you got under 500, you're even happier. If you got even 100, you're even happier. And the reason why the people that got under that coin, right, that bought that coin early, is because they were able to see what that coin was capable of doing. And that is something that I feel like a lot of people in the space lack. And that's what I want to teach. I have different strategies that I teach on my YouTube channel, where it's a lot easier because it's a lot harder just to talk and say stuff when you can't visually see it. But when you visually see it, it's a lot better, right? But one of the most important things is being able to understand that you could literally front run a lot of stuff. And when I mean front run, is being able to position yourself in a way where like you could turn that one soul into 100. And the easiest way to actually do that is by 2xing. And you're like, how does that work, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that right now. But the great thing is the 2xing, right? So the best way I can explain it is like this. Let's say you start with one soul. And of course, the way you would do this strategy, you would have to do it a little bit wiser, right, than you would like gamble plays, because there's gamble plays and there's like more stable coins. And I hate using the word safe because nothing is safe in this life, but a more stable coin. I guess we'll go with stable. So the way 2xing works is the following way. Let's say you were to be on my TG, or you were to follow me on X. If you look at the stuff I pretty much posted, like the calls I made this week, right? Like if I go to that, let me pull up that real quick. All right. So let's position ourselves this way. Let's say we had this one soul, right? And with this one soul, I told you guys, guys, buy Jinx at 50K. Okay. And you put one soul into that 50K. You went and you bought that 50K, right? You would have more than 10 soul right now, right? You would have more than 10 soul. So the thing is, how does that work? How does that work, right? That is because I'm able to see stuff before it even happens, before it even develops. Now, I'm not saying follow my calls, jump into everything I say. What I'm saying is you're going to be positioning yourself this way. And I'm going to show you guys how this is actually working in real time. If you were to buy, let's say you bought Jinx, right? And now you have 10 soul. So you basically went from, your 1 soul to 10 soul. Okay. So then I told you guys, hey guys, check this out. Singapore's coming up. Mother is going to be a coin that's going to be doing pretty well. And that's at least a 2x, right? And you say, well, you know what? I'm going to take half of those 10 soul that I have. I'm going to put 5 soul into Mother. And right now you would have another 10 soul. So yeah, you'd be at 15 soul, right? Like you have 15. All right, cool. So then we go and I tell you guys, listen, guys, there's a coin called Soul Chang. That's at 400K. You guys should definitely pick that up, right? You guys should definitely pick that up. Let's say you were to dump 10 soul in there. Okay, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just going to give you guys kind of like a little bit of a rundown of how this process works. And you drop 10 soul. Right now, you'd be like almost 30 soul plus your 15 that you already have. Okay. So as you see, guys, the process in this is a lot easier once you learn to navigate and understand how things work. Because usually what tends to happen is that people will gamble their 1 soul into randomness, right? And that is the difference between me and other people. Like I'll let you know this, like if you guys are on my TG, you guys see that I usually say there's a gamble, this could run a rug. So that's something like, you could just throw, throw like 1.1 or 1.2 into it if you have enough. If you don't have enough, then you kind of skip it. But conviction plays are totally different, because conviction plays are plays that are going to at least 2x. And that's why I believe in this 2x strategy, because this 2x strategy could take you from 1 soul all the way to 100, because you're basically 2xing every single time. So you're doing 1 soul turns into 2 soul, 2 soul turns into 4 soul, 4 soul turns into 8 soul, 8 soul turns in. You guys get the idea, right? So I did see someone requested that they wanted to speak up. I don't know if they were able to get in here and speak, or they rugged there for a little bit, but that's basically how that strategy works. And the reason that strategy is so effective is because you're not gambling. You're pretty much just 2xing. Another problem that a lot of people have is like they like to diamond hold. And diamond holding is good because kind of giving you guys an example. Let's say you were to have bought Modang at Pump Fund, right? Right now, that thing, like, I believe it hit like over 50 mil. I mean, you're making a lot of money, but that means you have to literally hold that amount of time. And a lot of people get impatient because what tends to happen is with some of these coins, currently, like, about 30 days ago, things weren't even getting to a mil, right? Things were getting into like, like, like if we got to 100K, like we were happy, like, yo, we got 100K. But now things are picking back up because usually, when Solana starts moving up, there's a lot of good sentiment going on. Then things start moving up and pushing further. So that's another thing. I think a lot of people that get into this space don't understand that a lot of the movement that happens in, especially like I'm heavily involved in meme coins, is that a lot of it's dependent on altcoins, and being able to say, okay, you know what, this is not doing well, and let me find out why it's not doing well. It's something that I love teaching and I like sharing it on my, like on my TG. I constantly tell you guys, yo guys, Solana's moving up. Let's position ourselves correctly because Solana's moving up. I'll let you guys know, Bitcoin's moving up. Let's start, positioning ourselves correctly. So we're able to kind of capitalize on the things that are actually working. So I personally feel like if you're able to position yourself in conviction plays more than gambles, right, then you are going to do very, very well in this space. And of course, the one thing I like to teach, and I teach this in my YouTube channel, and I like to teach it very much as well, is that once you get to a certain amount of soul, like let's say you were to get a 50 soul, this is where you got to watch out for yourself. When I mean watch out for yourself is because a lot of people in this space, and I'm pretty sure if you talk to a lot of more people that are have been in the space a little bit longer, they'll tell you, you know what, I've gone in 100 soul and I've lost 100 soul. So you need to learn to avoid doing that mistake, because basically what's going to happen is I could teach you guys how to get to 100 soul, but it's going to be up to you to make sure you keep that 100 soul, right? And you make that 100 soul into 1,000 soul. So that's going to be like my next step that I want to teach people. Right now, it's like I want to make sure everybody gets to 100 soul. That's my number one commitment, and that's why I want to be hosting these spaces, because I want to teach people on how to be able to do that. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, if you're in a certain situation where you're kind of deciding, what should you get into, what you should play, just request and I'll bring you up and we'll try to answer your questions, as fast as possibly as we can. But I do want to let you guys know I do have other stuff and other means where you guys could definitely hop on the YouTube channel, hop on my TG, so you guys can learn how this works. And all of this is free, guys. Like, this is literally one of the main things that I wanted to do is I want to make sure I provide every single content for free. I don't want to charge, even though people have asked me if there is, if I have private consultations, or if, I could get like a private call group. I want to create more millionaires than anybody has ever created. I want you guys to ever, like, if you think of Crypto Bolts, right? I want you to think that guy has like 5 millionaires he's created under his book. That's what I want. Like, of course, I want to make money too, because I'm not going to lie. Everybody's in here to try to make money. But my main objective is to make sure you are successful. That's like my number one commitment, because I believe if you're successful, then I'm successful, right? So it's like kind of like karma. And, I personally feel like a lot of people in the space just want to get rich. Like, they want to get rich, and that's perfectly fine, but they don't want other people to get rich, right? They don't want other people to get rich. And I feel like the more people that we get rich in this space, because I believe this is a very small space. I don't think there's a lot of, mass population in here. It's like, I would say maybe out of everybody that's, kind of like in the internet, right? I would say like maybe 20% of those people are actually in crypto. There's a very limited amount of people who are involved in crypto because either they're scared of crypto, right? Or they've seen, they've seen a lot of bad information either via a movie or like a TV series where, people shine a bad light in crypto. And that's because, there's a lot of rugs. I know a lot of people lost money, and that is because you don't learn to navigate the space. But, swinging back to like what we like to do here is I like to front run things. And what I mean by that is I would like to position myself where if I see something, I know it's going to do well because I could see that before it actually happens. Think about it. I don't remember what movie it was. There was a movie where this guy, they gave him a pill, right? They gave him a pill and he would drink the pill and that pill will like make him super powerful. Like it would give him like cool things to be able to like do his writing really fast and stuff like that. I think like that's me, right? That's like the pill. Like I can literally see stuff when it's saying what's and it happens. Like if you see like all my calls on YouTube, all my calls on on TG, like on TG or on here, it's like I'm over like 90% on these calls, and the reason why is because I'm doing more conviction plays than gambles, right? And that is positioning myself and putting myself in a really good situation and positioning the people who follow me in a really good situation. The reason why I have these tickers, Mitchie, Billy, and Selfie, is because this is a perfect example of positioning yourself in a very good situation. So if you go to my YouTube channel, or if you mostly my YouTube channel, because that's where I usually post like conviction plays the majority of the time. I literally told you guys, listen, Mitchie's kind of bottomed out at 48 mil. Buy into this coin, okay? Because eventually this is going to go up. Right now, it's gone up. I don't think that's where it's going to end, right? I think it's going to break an all-time high. But a lot of people sold because they felt like, oh, it's over, right? Billy's another perfect example. Billy's kind of like I like to call him a troll, because Billy pretty much ran up to 2 mil, right? Got CTO'd, got called by Binance, ran up to almost 300 mil, and it dropped down, guys. It dropped down so much, guys. Listen. Think about it this way, right? It dropped down so much, almost to 10 mil. Just think about that, right? Think about, and I always like to put this example. Think about me being able to tell you guys, listen, if you buy Billy at 10 million, it's going to hit 300 million. The question I have for you guys, would you buy? I want to see how many hands would buy. Like, would you buy? Like, would you guys buy? Right? If I told you, dude, you're able to buy here at 10 mil, but that's going to run up. That's going to run up to 300 mil. Would you buy? And I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys would be like, yes, I would definitely buy. Right? I would definitely go like full port. And the thing is, there's a lot of people that wouldn't do that because they'd be scared, right? They'd be scared. So right now, like we saw Billy at 10 mil, I think it's like at 40 mil around there right now. I think he hit 60 mil, and I'm able to see this and tell you guys, listen, that's going to break all time high. You could record this, you could pin it, you could do whatever you want, but I'm literally telling you, this is what's going to happen, right? Now, I can't force you guys to do stuff. This is not financial advice. It's just me telling you guys exactly I have this power and I'm able to utilize it. It's up to you, right? It's up to you. But the thing is, you guys need to be able to see this without me telling you, right? And that is what I want to teach. I want to teach you guys that there are ways you could see this before any KOL makes a call, before you guys hop on TG, before you hop on Telegram. I personally think I'm the best caller currently that there is. There might be a couple other people that are almost up in my league, but I haven't seen anybody else make these type of calls. Like, I do see people make some good calls, but like this many in one, like in every week, it's very, very rare. A lot of people make calls like, they'll do pretty well. But every week I haven't seen it in the space. But with that being said, is I need my people to be able to see this as well, because how about if I miss something, right? How about if I'm sleeping and I didn't see it? Of course, you guys would reach out and be like, yo, hey, Bolt, you should probably check this out, right? So the more people I could teach this, the more people are going to be printing, and the more people that are printing, the more millionaires we create, right? So I don't know what you guys' portfolio looks like. I have no idea, what coins you guys are currently invested in. What's your background is in anything in general. But what I could teach you guys is how to be able to see things before they're happening. And that is what separates the good people from the bad people, and how to separate you losing money. So with this, with this particular space, I kind of want to pinpoint on the 2x strategy. But there are multiple strategies out there that could help you hit that one soul to 100,000, right? To like 100 soul. Now, I don't know how many soul you want to get, out of this October. I'm pretty sure you guys heard the term October, right? But you want to be positioning yourself where you are in a good spot right now before things pick up. And the great thing about this space that I found very different from anything else that that I've been involved with, is the fact that in this space you could literally turn almost nothing into something. And what I mean by that is like, if you go like into real estate, right? If you go into real estate, you got to get a loan. You got to have at least a deposit, like, like let's say the least $10,000. If you get a fixer upper, that's another $10,000 for you to fix it up. So that's like 20 grand that you're looking to invest to what? Maybe make another 20, maybe make 40, maybe make 60, right? And that's what, like in a period of maybe 2 to 3 months, because by the time you buy the house, by the time you close on the house, you're looking at 3 to 4 months turn time. In this space, you can literally make that in a night. You can literally make that in a night. And that's no cap. Like, you guys can literally make that in a night. The thing is, how do you do it, right? How do you position yourself to being a winner every single time? And one thing is, like, I want to help you guys be able to do this, because if we kind of go like, let's say for example, I go look at kind of Dex Trainer right now. Let me give you a couple coins, right? Let me give you a couple coins that are currently doing pretty well right now, and just think of this 2x strategy, right? So let's say I come here and I look at this gift coin, right? This gift coin ran up to 1 mil. Let's say you would have dumped the soul in there. That's only been out for a day, okay? That's only been out for a day. Let's say you bought this at, let's say 200K. Now, so you bought this at 200K. That's a 4x. That's like about 5 soul that you got right there. Okay, you get those 5 soul, and let's say you go and you would have bought Wawa, right? You would have bought Wawa. That ran up to 4 mil. So that's, now you're up to 8 to 16 soul, and this is actually happening daily. Like, this is literally happening daily. Like, every day there is a 1 million runner. The thing is, you need to position yourself where you're either getting into multiple million runners, or you're getting into 1 million runner. And that's what I kind of like to teach. I like to tell everybody, hey, listen, there is a mass opportunity in this space for you to become a millionaire. Okay. I just want to be the person known as being the one that made the most millionaires. That's what I want to be known in the space, right? So if you think of Crypto Bulls, you're going to be like, you know what? Yo, that man turns millionaires. That man makes millionaires. That's what I want. I want people to be able to become financially independent. I think the more financially independent you are, the more likelihood you have for you and your family to do really, really well. The great thing is, I want to make sure that we get this information out to the majority of the people, and more people that are currently involved in the space, because, we need to create a nice following here to be able to create more millionaires. And, the more we do that, the better the space is going to be. And also, the better you'll be, right? The better you'll be. But I want to teach people that, there is a way of actually being able to do this. And it's possible for anyone. Like, you don't have to be filthy rich, right? To make make $1 million. You can literally start with 1 soul. I think 1 soul is like we're at 148 right now, or 147. I have to double check real quick. But think about it, right? Think about it like let me double check real quick where it's at right now. Right now it's at 144. So it's at 144, and you could turn that 144 into 144,000 easily. That you guys are still early. I like using that word, because you guys are literally early. Like, this is pretty much super, 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 super early. And it's time for everybody to get on board and start grinding. One thing I do like to mention though, guys, listen. The best way you guys could do is make sure you guys are constantly involved in whatever coin you're currently involved in. What I mean by that is, don't expect anybody else to push your bags, but you got to push your bags too, right? Like, if you want a coin to be successful, there is something you could do. Okay. There is something you could do. And this is something like I like mentioning to people and telling them, hey guys, listen, there is always something you could do in this space, whether it be, if you're a good speaker, you could be a host. If you're a good drawer, you could draw. If you could create good memes, you could do memes. And if you can't do none of that, you have thumbs. Okay. You have thumbs to hit the like button. You have thumbs to hit the re-like. You have thumbs to retweet. So there's something that you could always do to make sure your bags get pushed. And with this strategy that I'm teaching you guys, the 2x strategy, apart from the other strategies that I have on my YouTube channel, is like, this strategy is one of the ones that you could constantly do every single day. Okay, every single day. If you 2x every single day, right? Like, if you're in a coin 2xing every single day, how long do you think it's going to take you to get that 100 soul? How long? It's not going to be that long, guys. It's not going to be that long, because eventually what's going to happen is you're going to go 1 soul, you're going to go 10 soul, 20 soul, 30 soul, 50 soul. And you can literally dump 50 soul. I'm gonna say now financial advice once again. You can literally jump. I could go into a coin right now, look at a coin, and be like, you know what? I'm gonna dump 50 soul in there, and I'm pretty sure, like, give it a day or two, depending on the coin and the traction and volume it has. I can tell you, okay, I'm done. I already have 100 soul. I'm done. I could, take a little bit of break. It has to come to that point where you guys are able to do this by yourselves, because I'm not awake 24/7, right? You guys are gonna need to be able to do this. But when I am awake, or when I am active on TG, I'm constantly giving you guys plays where you guys can easily 2x. I'm not saying to dump 50 soul or anything like that. What I'm saying is you could be 2xing every single time. Okay. And that's the most important thing when you are in the space. You want to make sure you guys, are 2xing constantly. And that's what the 2x strategy is like, when you guys are doing it effectively. And always, if you have any questions, guys, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you ask questions. Like, it's extremely important. Don't be shy. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to ask because that's a dumb question. A lot of people are very knowledgeable in the space, and there are a lot of people who, just like me, when I started, had absolutely no idea of what the space is all about, right? There is a lot of people, even I've been in other spaces where people ask and they're like, how do I buy this coin? How do I buy it? Like, they don't even know what a phantom wallet is. They have no idea how to go about buying stuff. And that is the point we're in. We're in so early that by the time you get mass adoption, right? By the time that a bunch of people jump into the space, either through the political realm or, just because, they want financial freedom, you're going to be way ahead of this game. And we're not going to be having this conversation of 1 soul to 100 soul. We're going to be having a conversation is how to turn 1,000 soul, into 5,000 soul, right? 10,000 soul. That's a conversation we need to, I want to make sure you guys are constantly having with us. And like, I'm pretty sure if you guys navigate, the Twitter spaces, you're going to see a lot of people posting stuff, like on their soul scan, like, oh, listen, I bought this, and this is what my wallet looks like. But no one tells you when they bought in and how they bought in and why they bought in, right? Because there's, like, I like to tell people, there is no thing like luck. Okay, there is no luck. So basically, luck means is you throw something in the air and it just kind of multiplies, right? There's no such thing as that, because whenever you buy one of these coins, a lot of people call it lucky when people buy a coin and the coin runs, right? That is not luck. That is called conviction. Because what happens is when you buy something, the reason you bought it is because you personally inside felt that was a good buy. Like, you're like, this could do well, right? And if you have that in your mind, this could do well, that is no longer luck. That is you personally deciding and saying, I am buying this because I personally feel that this is going to do well, right? So I need more people with those type of convictions, right? I need more people to be able to see something and say, like, this is going to do well. And I want to teach you guys how to be able to have this skill, because it's a skill very hard to develop, because it all depends on where you work, or how you were brought up, or what type of environment you surround yourself in, because there are a lot of things that take into value into what makes a coin run, right? It could be a very memorable coin, it could be something that's trending, it could be something that's going viral on TikTok, or it could be something that just goes viral because it has mass adoption. So you guys need to position yourselves where you guys are able to see this, and when you see it, you're able to pick up on it really fast. Now, I personally try to, get you guys in as early as I possibly can to these plays. I'd be like, I'll type on TG and be like, this is a runner. This is something that we're front running. We're buying it early because eventually it's going to go up. Kind of like, for example, Mitchie and Billy and Selfie. I literally call all these at the bottom. And like, if you go look at the charts and you look at my YouTube channel, when I actually call these coins, you're up more than 2x, right? Like, some people are up 5x on some of these calls. And it's like, all you had to do was position yourself correctly and, of course, watch the videos, right? And sub to the channel. But apart from that, is you guys could do this by yourselves. You don't need me to be able to do this. The thing is, I want to teach you guys how to do that. And that's why I want to create these spaces. I want to create these spaces where I'm teaching you guys exactly how you're able to, achieve something that you're trying to achieve. This particular space is mostly focused on how to turn 1 soul into, 100 soul. And that is basically using the 2x strategy. Now, apart from the 2x strategy, there's other strategies out there, that I teach on YouTube that are going to help you guys navigate this space to be able to make sure you're constantly winning. One of my biggest strategies, the NLA strategy. Now, the NLA strategy, that one is called never lose again. That strategy is super duper important because what that strategy teaches, it teaches you how to mitigate risk. And mitigating risk is another super important thing in the space because you want to make sure that you're not full porting something that is not going to do well. And those are strategies that you guys need to learn as you guys progress throughout this world and throughout the meme space. Because a lot of people say like, oh no, you can't really do charts for meme coins. You can't really structure meme coins like you would do like an altcoin. And yes, in a sense that's kind of true, and in a sense that's wrong. But you could be able to position yourself in a way where you're hardly losing, right? You're mostly winning the majority of the time. And that's what I want to teach. That's why it's extremely important. If you guys have any questions, you guys have any feedback, make sure you guys, request. If you want to speak up, we'll bring you guys up and try to do that. A couple people did request. I just, for some reason, they just didn't speak. But the concept here is, how much more people can I teach to be able to develop this, and if you guys have any questions, that's the best thing I can tell you guys. Make sure you ask questions. It's extremely important because a lot of people shy away from asking questions, but if you ask questions, you will get an answer, whether it's a stupid answer, right, or a dumb answer. At least you will get an answer, and that's why it's extremely important that you do this. But so once again, let me go back how this 2x strategy works, right? Let's say you started with one soul. What you're gonna do is you're gonna get that one soul, 2x it, and exit. Whether you feel like this chart is gonna run, whether you feel like this chart's gonna like 5x, 10x. Nah, you gotta be focused. All right, you gotta be focused. That's why you want to make sure you focus yourself and like, okay, this is 2x, 2x, 2x. That's my strategy. That's my play. You want to make sure you get your one soul becomes two soul. Now, what you need to do is if for some reason that night you don't find anything else, I need you to step away and go to bed, relax, watch some TV, go touch grass, swim in a pool, whatever you have, and come back the next day focused, right, on looking for another 2x. Because what a lot of people do is like they'll they're like 1x, right? They 2x and they get excited, they get pumped. They're like, okay, let's go, we're in a roll. Let's turn this 2 into a 4. And sometimes that does happen, right? Sometimes there's nights where it's like I'll call 3 to 4 coins and they all 2x, right? And then there's nights where it's like I don't call anything because it's like, even though I know some coins are going to run, they could rug at any point. And I got to kind of mitigate not only myself, but also my call. I want to make sure when I make a call, it's not going to rug, right? So, even though a coin runs, I know there are some some coins that either they get called by a specific KOL or, they're being pushed very heavily. And I know eventually at one point that coin's going to rug and I want to avoid that, right? So you want to make sure you're able to see that as well. So when I see these coins, like, okay, guys, this coin's pretty good. And I also have gamble coins. Gamble coins are coins that I could tell you guys, you know what, there's a possibility if we buy really early, like let's say we buy here at Pump Fund, kind of like at 20K, 40K, anything below 100K, this has a possibility of 2xing. And, those are the ones where you want to be like, you know what, I'm going to put like 0.1, 0.2, whatever you want to put in there. And it can literally go to 0 or it can literally 100x. It's one of those things. And as you guys go and you 2x more often, and as this becomes kind of like more fluid to you, you're going to be able to do that more often. Because there was a guy that was writing to me and he was showing me his ledger, his like P&L. This guy wasted 10 SOL every day. Okay, he put 0.5 on coins, on every single coin that he felt that was good. He would put 0.5. This is off of Pump Fund. 0.5, 0.5. And you're like, man, dude, that's a lot of rugs, right? That's a lot of rugs. But out of all those coins he put money into, 2 of them did really well. He ended up putting in 10 SOL. Now, I don't recommend this strategy to, if you're not, this strategy, I don't recommend it. It's just kind of give you an example. Those 10 SOL became 50 SOL. And eventually a lot of people will look at that and be like, well, you're losing 10 SOL. Yeah, but you're losing 10 SOL, but you're winning 50, right? That is like one of like the hardest strategies to do, because you kind of got to think in your mind, like, if I'm going to lose 10 SOL, that's a lot of SOL I'm losing. because it could happen. But he's positioning himself in a way that he's able to see stuff, and be like, okay, I think this is going to do well, and buy those coins. But I personally feel like for you guys that are, listening to this, listening to the spaces, I personally feel like if you put yourselves in a position where you're getting yourselves into plays that are conviction plays, and when I say conviction plays, there are plays that you personally feel that are going to do well, and number two, that you see there is a community being formed for that coin, then that is how you want to structure yourself. A lot of people, when they get into space, they're like, they see a tweet or they see that, they're like following people on TG, and they see someone post like, this is the ticker. They go and they FOMO in. And the problem with that is that sometimes, if it's a good KOL, it'll do well. But the majority of the time, you're kind of being used as exit liquidity, right? The majority of the time, it's like you buy in and you're like, oh crap, it only went up 20%, and now I am negative. I am negative, right? That is because you're buying in too late. So what I try to teach is you guys want to make sure you're constantly buying early before it gets a KOL, because a KOL should not be the reason a coin does well. A KOL is pretty much a form of you being able to kind of give the coin more, making the coin more viral, right? That's the whole point of the KOL. The KOL is not meant to push a coin, because what happens is, and I'm pretty sure for those of you who have been in the space, when the KOL makes a coin, the coin goes up. But that you got to think, right? You got to think in your head, when did that KOL buy? Did the KOL get allocation, right? That is what you got to think, because how high does he need the coin to go up in order for him to make a good profit? Because eventually everybody's going to sell. If it would be amazing if the space was like every time we get an all-time high, the coin keeps going up and up and up and up and up and it never goes down. That would be an ideal. Eventually someone's going to lose in this space because they're buying the top. Okay. Eventually everybody that buys the top on a coin is going to end up losing. Like, for example, I have Michi here and Billy. Billy ran up to, almost 300 million, right? Think about the person that bought at 300 million. Let's think about that, right? That person that bought at 300 million was like, okay, well, this coin could probably go to 600 million, right? Because that's like a 2x. But what happened? The chart dipped. Okay. The person that bought Michi, the coin ran up to almost 200 million, but the person that bought up top, the coin dipped, right? Like they're literally going to sell at a loss because the coin hasn't gotten higher than that. So what I like to teach is I want to make sure that when you're buying at the best spot possible, and you're buying before the coin gets hyped or before the coin actually gets any hype, because that is how you're going to become profitable, right? That is how you're going to become successful. And with this strategy, the 2x strategy, you're going to be buying that 2x. And one thing I always like to teach, and if you guys go to my TG, you'll see this. I say this I'm very adamant about, is you always want to buy, right? You always want to buy, but when you 2x, you want to leave a moon bag. It's extremely important that you leave a moon bag, whether it be 50%, whether it be, like I'm going to say the lowest 10%, whatever it could be, whatever type of moon bag you could be, right? You want to make sure you pull out your initials. So you want to make sure you grab your initials and you leave a little bit of a bag there. So, in this 2x strategy, what you want to do is, let's say, instead of pulling the whole thing, right? Like, instead of saying, okay, I put 1 SOL in, I'm going to cash out 2 SOL. You're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to cash out like 1.7, right? Because you're already profitable, right? You already made your money. You made 70% already, and you left 3%. Now, the reason why that's important is because we're going to go back to Mudang. Let's say you would have done that in Mudang. All right. Let's say you would have done that in Mudang. Right now, that 30%, let's say you would have bought this in Pump Fund or before you hit a mill, that would be worth a lot of SOL. I mean, it's not going to be like, oh my goodness, that's a bunch of SOL. But it's a lot more SOL than you currently have right now, just by leaving a moon bag. So it's very important that you understand that there are multiple ways of you guys being able to achieve this. And the most important thing is you being able to have less of a risk and more of a reward. And that's why I kind of love using that, I love using that analogy of the casino. This is a big casino. Every meme coin is a slot machine. But I want to teach you guys that when you guys get inside this casino, you have the crypto bolt glasses, right? You have these crypto bolt glasses because these glasses are going to allow you to spot the machines that are actually going to be profitable and avoid the machines that are not profitable. So if you have the crypto bolt glasses, right? You have those on, you will be able to walk into this casino. You'll be able to see this machine, and you'll be like, that machine is gonna 2x, right? That machine is gonna do pretty well, you know. So that's kind of like I want to help you guys be able to do that, you know. And I think by hosting these spaces, you know, eventually more people will catch on, and people will learn to understand that we're in the space to make millionaires. All right, millionaires, not 100,000, not 200, because currently right now we're like, you know, in the situation we are economically, you know, $10,000 ain't really a lot, right? I mean, it's a lot for some people, but eventually you run out of those $10,000. $20,000, the same thing. You want to get to in a position where you're financially stable, right? Where you're not having to worry about like, what am I gonna, you know, how much money am I gonna spend in rent? How much money am I gonna spend in groceries? You know, how much money am I gonna spend here? You want to get to a position where you are financially stable, and that's what I kind of want to teach and help you guys be able to identify when you have those plays in front of you. And if by providing calls for you guys on TG, or if by providing conviction plays to you guys on YouTube, and by running these spaces, this is my second space I made on X. I want to be able to kind of touch base with you guys so I can literally help you guys become financially independent. And one thing that has helped me a lot is being able to position myself in a way where I am winning more than I'm losing. Because I would love to tell you guys, listen, guys, I'm 100% on my trades, but that's not the truth, right? The only way I would be able to be 100% of my trades is if I actually launch all the coins and I buy in as a dev. And I'm, you know, anybody that tells you they're 100% on their trades is because they're launching a coin. Like all the coins they get into, their, you know, they're either launching or they are, you know, pretty much, like getting allocation for it, right? So my win percentile is pretty high. Like it's like somewhere in the 90s. I would have to kind of look at all my trades and stuff like that. But the reason why is it's that high is because I get into stuff that I feel conviction for, as opposed to getting something is just because I'm FOMOing in. And that's one of the things a lot of people in this space need to learn. Don't FOMO. I mean, FOMOing is like one of the worst things you could possibly do, because if I pull up any chart, and that's kind of like hosting these spaces kind of sucks sometimes because you can't really show people, you know, with your screen and stuff like that. But if you look at every chart that has pumped, all of them have had a major retracement, right? Like all of them have dropped to like either 80%, 90%. That is when you want to be buying in. You want to be buying in at that, you know, below that 90%, because you know that coin's going to go back up. And the, you know, best examples I give you guys, like if you go to like the Michi chart, if you go to the, you know, the selfie chart, the Billy chart, you see like a 80%, 90% retracement. And of course that happens for certain reasons, you know, like we'll probably have another space that's kind of going overview of why that happens and why that's actually even healthy for a chart, right? Like, you know, a lot of people are like, no, you're crazy because, you know, it's dumping, but sometimes dumping is actually pretty good for the coin to actually be able to break another all-time high. You know, a lot of people need to make their money back, and that's a whole different subject, but you want to make sure that you're not FOMOing in. And, you know, I try to teach this very often. And, you know, like when I make a call on TG, I'll be like, this coin's at this market cap, wait for it to go down to this market cap. For example, we did that with CASP. I told everybody, you know what, this coin has a potential. October's coming out. You know, we have Halloween coming. We're going to front run this, but buy it when it dips, because that's when you want to buy it. You know, you want to be able to buy it when that coin dips. And that is how, you know, you're going to be able to be very profitable. And I know a lot of people don't have, you know, a lot of time to, you know, sit on Pump Fund all day or watch coins, you know, tickers every day. But I want to make sure we create a space where you can constantly feel like, you know, you're the person running the spaces or the person making the calls has the best interest in you, and not to use you as exit liquidity, right? Because that's one of the biggest things. There's a lot of people, you know, in the space that, you know, want to use like, you know, like EL, which is you definitely want to avoid. So you got, you know, one thing I teach is make sure you guys, whoever you're following, there's a lot of really cool people on X or YouTube, wherever it may be, that, you know, aren't in your best interest. You want to make sure you guys are constantly following the right people. And, you know, just look at the stuff they called, when they call it, check the hour, see if the chart went up. If it at least 2x, that's a pretty good person, right? They're at least 2x, helping you 2x. If not, if the coin only goes up 30%, 20%, and you're following these person and they're rugging coins, you kind of want to avoid that, right? Because you're going to eventually lose your soul. So what I want to teach is, I want to teach you guys the 2x strategy, I hope that's what you learned today, from this particular spaces, is how you could implement this 2x strategy to benefit you and to help you get to that 100 soul. Because I'm pretty sure the majority of people that are listening to the space either have 1 soul, 5 soul, 10 soul, depending on the amount of soul you have. It's going to be easier for you to hit that 100 soul. But for some of you guys who are probably just starting with that one, you want to make sure you guys are following the right people. And there, like I said, there are some really good people here in the space, but there's also, bad actors as well that you want to make sure you're avoiding. You're constantly checking and do your due diligence. So you guys are not getting that. Now, if you guys have any questions, any feedback, make sure you guys either request to speak or just drop it, send me a tweet, and then we'll try to answer that or address that. Usually there's like multiple methods that I like to help people. Is I like to help them visually, so that's why I have a YouTube channel. I like to teach people, these are the strategies to implement, because seeing stuff visually makes it a little bit more, for some people that struggle, it makes it a lot more easier to understand. And there is a lot of new people in the space who currently right now are completely new, right? Like they just made a Phantom wallet, or they just used a Bullix account to be able to buy into a token. And that's why I want to help people like start from point A to point B. And now we're in a position where like I have so much video content on my YouTube channel where if you're completely new, you could go watch that. But right now we're at a point where it's like, okay, guys, you need to learn to be able to see this stuff before it actually happens, before it actually takes place, because a lot of people are positioning themselves to be able to become millionaires. And I want to make sure that we have as many, we're the community with the most millionaires, currently self-made millionaires, right? Not millionaires that we brought in or whales. I mean, I don't mind having a whale, but I'm just saying, I want to make sure we just like, started from the bottom, now we're here, right? One of the type of things, I want to make sure we have the majority of the people that are following me or kind of, hopping, follow me on X or follow me on TG or YouTube, that you guys are becoming successful. Because the more successful you guys become, I'm pretty sure you're going to be like, yo, yes, you guys should follow that guy. You should check that guy out. I did really well. And that's what I want to build. I want to build a community where we could kind of get together and be like, you know what? I have a conviction on this coin. I think it's going to do well, and we're going to do that very, very well. Now, with this 2x strategy, one thing I also want to make sure I address, and it's extremely important. I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Guys, work for your bags. No one else is going to work for your bags. And the best way you could actually push a coin is by working for your bags. Now, I'm going to be hosting more spaces as we progress and move forward, where I'm going to be teaching you guys how you actually work for your bags and how we can make any coin hit a mil. Okay, a mil is kind of like the target, right? But we can hit 2 mil. There's multiple ways in this space, as long as you are committed and as long as you're working for your bags. Any coin in this space can hit a mil, because it's not so much about the KOLs, it's not so much about the market makers, it's about community. There's a lot of coins. If you guys have been, on trading on Pump Fund for a while, you're gonna see a lot of coins hit a mil. Okay, not that many, but a bunch of them hit, like one almost every day hits a mil. You're going to see they do pretty well. But if you go and look at the chart the following day or in 2 days, those are literally like at 100K, 10K, 15K, because there is absolutely no community in there, right? This is a KOL called it, someone, really popular, a really good influencer hopped on the coin. They put a volume bot, it went up. There's so many ways you can manipulate stuff, but you want to get into a play where there is a community forming around it, because that coin is not going to get to a mil. It's going to get a 5 mil, 6 mil, 10 mil. And that is kind of like what you guys want to make sure you guys are constantly getting into, because the more community coins you could get into, the more successful you're going to be in the space, right? And that's kind of like what I want to teach and help everybody kind of, navigate the space of, if you're new, you're learning, if you're more experienced and you've actually had 100 soul and you lost it because you kind of FOMOed into something, then I want to be able to provide a way where I could avoid that, so you're constantly printing. And like I said, the best example I could give you, if you go to my X account and this is the first time you actually hop on any of my this is the first time you ever tune in or hear about me, if you look at all my calls that I've made here and on TG and on YouTube, literally you could take the list and see all the calls. All of them have 2x, 3x, 4x, some have even 50x, so it's like 100x. So it's one of those things. I'm positioning myself where it's like I'm more winning than I am losing, and that is where this 2x strategy comes into play, because the more x's and 2x's you could do, the more soul you'll have to play with, and the more conviction plays you can get into, right? So that's a different topic where we're going to be talking about like diversification and how that's extremely important. You don't want to kind of like full port into something. Um, you kind of want to diversify, because if you could have 10 soul, right? And you divide one soul into each and all of those multiply, that's more of the, that could work better than you just putting 10 soul into one. And it's like, oh my goodness, it run. But I kind of wanted to make sure, I taught you guys the way the 2x strategy works, how you're able to implement it, how you're able to determine if something's good, if something's bad. And like the most important thing is, how do you make sure you're constantly winning every single time? And the acronym I use for that's called NLA. I teach that on YouTube. Is never lose again, because if you learn that strategy, you're not going to lose. You're going to be constantly winning and making sure you guys have a good amount of X's here. So hopefully you guys learned something today. Hopefully you were able to kind of understand how I personally think, how you could personally start thinking the same way I do, and put on the crypto bull glasses, right? So whenever you see something, you're like able to identify it and be like, oh crap, that's actually pretty dope. That's actually going to run. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be. I think we had a wonderful time today, and hopefully you guys were able to learn something new and learn this 2x strategy, which is going to help you guys turn that one soul into 100. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next one.